Julie Hogg, good evening.
Good evening, Martin.
Welcome to Talk Badminton.
Thank you for having me.
It's still a very new venture considering it's only been about, I think it's been about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks or something, but it feels like a lifetime.
Yeah, I've been watching nearly all of the interviews. They've been fantastic, actually.
you?
Really good.
I
Really
find
good.
I find them quite embarrassing. I think I'm getting better. It's quite embarrassing for me as well. Everybody's nervous, and I think I'm not. I am terrified.
You
So
move into different rooms when you're doing your interviews as well, I
no,
noticed.
no,
No?
no. I moved
No,
my camera.
is it the same room?
Yeah. I've tried different rooms. I've tried different angles with my camera, and different cameras, different angles. I've got a desk here, I've got one here, and I've
Oh,
got a
maybe
phone.
that's what it is.
My camera's actually my phone, so I can move it, and it's on a tripod, so I can move it in all directions. So it's actually okay. But it's just trying to find, and you'll notice there's some awful quality, and then some better quality, and some the sound jags, and oh my, I have such technical. Oh, I just have a technical nightmare. My tech isn't the best, I'll put it that way. But I like the chat. It was good. It's good fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Good. Okay, let's start with the questions. Here we go. So, your full name, please.
Julie Helen Hogg.
And the next obvious question is why Helen?
Helen is the name of my gran.
Is that your mum's mum or
Father's side.
your dad's mum? Nice. And your home, where are you from, Helen? Julie, sorry. I called you Helen there. That's quite funny.
Yeah,
I called you Helen just now. Where are you from?
Dunfermline.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Originally as well.
Originally from Dunfermline, so I've never really moved out of Dunfermline. So it's always been sort of home for me. We've travelled everywhere in the world, but I've always returned back to Dunfermline. In fact, where I was brought up it's only a couple of miles from where I live now in the cottage. So it's.
Are you central? Are you central or quite rural?
Yeah, no, it's quite central. The cottage is on the outskirts of Dunfermline, which is quite nice. My garden overlooks sheep and everything, which is nice. But I'll be in the town in about 5 minutes. Near the centre of Dunfermline, so it's quite accessible, and I quite like it.
And were you brought up rural, or were you a city? Were you a town girl?
No, always city, always city. Yeah, always the town.
Is Dunfermline a city? Is it a city?
Well, Dunfermline, I think it is actually. I'm not sure actually. It used to be the capital of Scotland before Edinburgh, way back in the olden days.
Tell me something. Is Dunblane the smallest city in the country?
No idea.
How small is Dunblane? That's a city, technically, because it's got a cathedral. Apparently, I don't know who knew.
You can Google that when we're
Who
talking.
knew? It must be. So, brothers or sisters?
Yes, I have an identical twin sister called Karen.
And does she play badminton?
Yes.
Does she? Wow.
Yes.
And did you play?
She's left-handed and I'm right-handed.
Wow.
So they call that mirror twins.
Are you identical twins?
Yeah.
You're joking.
Yeah, you could have had us both on.
You're joking. Your twin sisters. Your twin sisters, and one of you's left-handed and one of you's right-handed. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, they call that mirror twins. So
mirror twins.
Mirror twins. Yeah, I watched a program on it, and I think a Siamese twin is when the egg splits at the 12th day, the last day.
Right.
And a mirror twin is on the 10th day. So one will always be right-handed and one is left-handed. So Karen is the oldest. So we were 6 weeks premature. So Karen weighed a mighty 2 pound 2, and I weighed a mighty 2 pound.
Wow.
So so she's my identical twin. But
tell me something. Can I ask you this question? Did you play doubles together?
Yeah. Always.
No. That is a competitor's nightmare, isn't it? You must have done.
Yeah, I think as well, twins always have their individuality. So I would hate to dress the same as my sister.
Really?
But they always used to say, oh, just put the same top on because you'll confuse everybody because we look so alike, But for me, I thought, oh no, that's not me.
I
It's
know a
always
couple. There's two twins in Peebles, and they're identical twins, and the mother dressed them the same, and they walk around, and it just, do you know
oh
what? It reminds me of The Shining. Have you ever seen The Shining?
well, our parents were exactly the same.
Were
They
they?
always had to, yeah. If I could get away with it, the minute I went out the door, the tie was undone, and you had to have your own individuality. But I think that's just parents who want, the twins to look the same. We have another two sets of twins and triplets in our family as well. So
It's a hereditary thing, isn't it? It's a hereditary thing, right? And what are you like now? Do you try and be like her now, or does she try and be like you? Or you
Oh no,
in
we're quite,
appearance and stuff? No, no.
no, we're quite different. So we're different in terms of how we dress, our personalities. You'll always find that with a twin. You'll never really. They'll come through maybe looking the same, but in terms of their personalities and individuality,
They're quite,
they are quite different.
and that's a conscious thing. You try and be different from each other. Do you think?
I think consciously you do, but
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you develop into your own personality.
Amazing. Amazing. And was she very serious about badminton as well as you were?
Yeah, really serious. Karen you're probably coming through much more disciplined than I was. Like if Andy Cook says, okay,
But in
we'll hit
training.
yeah, even if you interview the Grimleys, they'll tell you that one twin would always be, come on, let's get up, let's get moving, come on, we need to do more shuttles. One will always drive the other. And for me, that was Karen. She was always quite driven. But I would come in, I would meander in, and I'd get the shoes on. And
Was there ever an element that you thought that because she wanted to do it, you didn't want to do it? Did that ever occur to you?
No, no, not at all. I had quite a lot of breaks in my career in badminton. I was born spina bifida, so I had a major problem with my back.
Right.
And I remember in the under-21 nationals, I got stretchered off to go and get a back op. But I decided that, let me try and manage that condition before I started to get rods in the spine. And then I think I was about 23, I had a major car crash and I was out the game for 2 years.
Wow.
So at that time, you readjust your life, where Karen just kept playing badminton. For her, nothing really changed, but for me, there was quite a lot of setbacks that I had to reevaluate, and then you have to pick it all back up again. So it teaches you different life skills, Martin.
Learned a lot. Let's go back to questions, right? So, what age were you when you first played?
12.
Was that
I used to dance
as well? It was
before
Karen
that.
at the same time.
Yeah, because we used to dance.
Right.
So we were into dancing. So the reason we got into badminton was when we went from primary school to secondary school, our maths teacher was an international badminton player called Gordon Hamilton.
Right.
So he set up a badminton class at lunchtime. And I thought, I'll go give this sport a shot. I was doing all the different sports, dancing, running, swimming, that's what you do. And I really liked it. And then I could connect quite easily. It wasn't, how sometimes when you start to play badminton and you coach, the connection, it takes
the
a bit
coordination,
of time.
you mean?
Yeah, the coordination and trying to hit the shuttle,
Yeah.
that came quite easy. So I could hit it. And I thought, okay. So, and then every lunchtime, Gordon, Mr. Hamilton, used to take us, there was about 8 of us for badminton. And, I really liked it.
Can I ask you about your question about that? When you went to see Mr. Hamilton play badminton, did your sister go with you at that stage?
Yeah.
Straight away?
Straight away.
Yeah. Did you hang about together at school? Or were you just in classes together?
No, we didn't, because what happened was they decided when we went, we were the only identical twins in the school. There was other twins, but we were the only set of identical twins at the time. So they decided to put us into different classes.
Yeah.
And just to see, just for you to mature as yourself.
Yeah.
And also I think it was to test when we sat exams what percentage we would be
Really.
between each other, with different teachers, kind of thing. And
Sounds like you could have become lab rats.
maybe. But it was interesting, Martin, because when we sat exams, there was only a couple of percentages in between us, and we had different teachers. We studied differently, but when it came to the exam, maybe say Can got 52% and maybe got 50. There was never more than 2% between us. Wow. It was quite incredible.
Was it? Were you doing the same subjects though at that age? I guess you are, right?
Yeah, we did the same. Yeah, we did. When I was at school, you did the same subjects, eight O levels or eight.
Was there an element really of competitiveness when you were that age? When she was studying for the exams because she was assiduous, were you thinking she's going to get 54% here and I need to work at that, or did you just think, go on?
No, I can remember when we were at school. Again, she was really conscientious, but I really couldn't get into science at all. So I sort of didn't apply myself in those classes. But when it came to the exam, I used to take all our study books and I would just swat all the study books, and then I would hit the exam and I knew all the answers to the questions. And I came out with, a higher mark than she did. She wasn't very happy about it at the time. Yeah. But it was that type of, there's always that competitiveness there.
My son did that. My son, when he did his hires, he didn't study for like months before his exams. He said, "What are you doing? Why aren't you studying? You've got exams." "No, I'll be fine. I'll be fine." And he would stay up all night the night of an exam, like the night before, and just read and read and read. And he did really well out of it. So he said it was all fresh. He said it was all fresh in his mind. If he did it weeks before, he said, "I would have forgotten." It's so funny. Sorry, I'm good. This is what happens. We go off a tangent. Okay, let's go. Why did you start playing? That was Gordon Hamilton, right?
Yeah, and then from there, Martin, what happened is, club badminton was really big when I was coming through at that age. And
in Dunfermline?
Yeah, it was massive. It was 6 leagues. There was about 6 clubs in each league. It was huge. And we had to trial to get into clubs. It was that competitive. And Gordon Hamilton at the time told me to go to this club called Carnegie. In Dunfermline, and I booked in for a trial. And when I was down there, I then met, my late husband, Russell Hogg, who was also trialing at the same time. And he had just won European gold under 14.
But he still had to trial.
Yes, had to trial. So we introduced ourselves. He knew who I was, I knew who he was, because we played in school badminton. Yes. And we both got into the same club. And then we both played in the leagues. And then at that point, his father, Harry Hogg, said to me, "Right, let's get, the girls," they called us, to go to Andy Cook for some training, for some proper coaching.
So you were 14, did you say?
I would say at that time I was 14 when I went to Andy. And that's when I started my relationship, both, as a coach and as a friend with Andy Cook. From a young age.
From talking to him, he was obviously very, very disciplined coach, very strict, quite obviously quite physical coach, quite strict. And how did you get on with that? Did you take it okay?
It really took me a long time, because Andy had classes, and I remember on a Tuesday we used to go to Falkirk, and all the internationalists were there. So you had from your Joannas to your Fraser Gowes to all these top players. And then there was the junior section, which had your Jim Mailers, your Russells, your me, your Karen, a girl Jennifer Brown. And we were down in the bottom part, but there was a no-nonsense approach. You walked in and you knew you were training, and if you didn't really want to do it, then Andy would just sort of say in a nice way, just take a seat then and come back when you're ready to join in. But you never wanted to sit down, because nobody else was sitting down, Martin.
Did you never have an element of the fact that you've been at school all day, say? So this was a night time, right?
Yeah, and it made it worse, because Gordon Hamilton was in the same training arena. Right. So he used to keep his beady eye on me when I was training.
Did you not think to yourself, "I'm not doing here"? Did you think
No,
yourself?
because you
Did you
loved it.
think I want to do this all the time? I think this is what I want to do. Is that what you at that age? Did you think this is what I want to do? So I'm going to have to train like this, or did
Yeah.
you think this was just a hobby?
No, I thought, no, I really want to play badminton and try and get to where I possibly can, or to improve yourself as a player.
Hmm.
Um, but, at 14, 15, that's actually quite late in badminton to start. When you've interviewed all the juniors that I've had the privilege of working with in my
Yes.
career, your
Yes.
Martins and your Paddies, your Patrick McHughes, they all started at 10.
Yes.
And I was a coach in the high performance program, the national squad, and even our last program, we were taking players from as young as 7 and 8.
Yeah.
So, 14, 15 is actually quite late to start badminton, but there wasn't the same pressure to achieve so quickly, I
Yes.
would say. That's not what club badminton, churches badminton, county badminton was about when I came through anyway.
Well, it sounded like, I mean, like I say, from talking to Martin, it was obviously more, I mean, the experience of, don't know if you watched Adam last night, Adam and Martin are just polar worlds apart. Adam would just loved it from a kid like you, just loved it. I love playing badminton, that's what I play badminton, where Martin seems quite obviously driven very young on and just said somebody so talented at a very young age. And then he was in it. Then he was in it, right? And to say to somebody, do you remember your first club? And he says, I've never went to a club. I just find that incredible, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. The idea that he never, and I was like, well, when did you love it? And he said, oh, to be honest, I can't remember. And that's
But
just terrible.
I remember Adam Hall because I used to do some camps with Craig
Did
Robertson
you?
and Russell. Yeah, we had camps for 10 years at Larbert in Carron Vale.
Oh, did they?
And Adam started to come when he was about 8 or 10. And at that time, he always wanted to be an Olympian.
Really?
Yeah, that was his
That
goal,
was
his
him.
mindset was that.
Yeah, lovely guy.
Lovely.
So back to the questions again. Here we go. This is what happens. We'll go for tangent. Do you remember your first ever? Hey, are your first ever racket?
Oh, my first ever racket actually was like a Woolies racket. If we're going to go back,
Sorry, Woolworths.
Yeah, these Woolworths rackets, with the big shuttles, and I used
Was
to
it
go
one?
and sit.
Was it one of them that came in a 2-pack in a bag
Correct.
with a Velcro at the top and had the net in it and probably a couple of plastic shells that are just awful? One of those,
Yeah,
wasn't
that
it?
was awful, and that's what I thought. Oh well, I'll try this back. That was my first racket, and I played that out in the garden. But a first serious racket was a Carlton racket that I had, because I knew I had to get a bit more serious with the rackets.
What age was that? Sorry, Julie.
That was when I went to trial for Carnegie Club, so that would be about 12, 13.
So see, when you're going to Andy, when you're going for that trial, did you think this is serious now? I really need my own racket.
Yeah, I was so nervous.
Did you?
I was so nervous.
Oh, that's brilliant. What was the name of the first club? So did you get in the club? Sorry, you never really said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got into Carnegie Club. Yeah, and at that time, you went for a couple of weeks where you were under assessment, like we say, and you were then put into teams. So there was 6 leagues, 6 teams, and I can remember my sister and Russell were put in the 3rd team, and I was put in the 2nd team for mixed.
Good.
And they loved it. They just had fun all the time. Right, really, every Saturday we were in different venues across Fife and Dunfermline.
Really?
But I was in the 2nd team, and it was a lot more serious. So I had to really quite focus in on
you were
my
in
next
2nd division.
No, it was Division 1, but I was in the 2nd team.
I see. And were they in division? Were they in the same division?
They were in a lower division than me.
So they could enjoy it, right?
Oh, they were on Space Invaders. They were doing all that nonsense stuff. Do you remember the spin serve at that time, Mark?
Yeah, it's still out. It's still there, isn't it? I think it's still there. Yeah, I think it's still there.
It got a bit banned, but Russell had mastered the spin serve so well that they won their games quite easily, so they could spend a lot of time on the Space Invader machine, where you really couldn't do that.
Have you ever? Can I ask you a question as a twin? Did you ever go on holding the racket in the wrong hand just for the hell of it?
No, I couldn't play.
No, you didn't need to. You didn't even need to play. You could have just walked on court. That would have been funny
I have
enough.
done that.
Have you?
I have done that.
That's brilliant.
before I've started, I've said to Karen, shift your racket because, because it used to look to see what hand we were on, so I always used to carry the racket in the left hand
There's
when
a
I was
guy
coming.
I play with a guy at Nomads who Stuart. What's his name? Do you
And
know?
did he switch the racket?
He switched. He switches hands to receive
Yeah.
serve. To receive serve. So when you're playing in a league match, he holds it. He's left-handed. He holds it in his right hand at point of, and stands as if he's right-handed. Stands as if he's right-handed, and just before impact to change hands.
That's amazing.
And it really screws up because they're thinking the seven to his backhand, right? How many people serve down the tee, right? So you're serving down the tee to a left-hander, and he's there, right? And it's brilliant. It's genius. Sorry, back to the questions. I'm on question 7. And we've been over 20 minutes. So do you remember your first shuttles? So it was a Carlton. Do you remember the model of Carlton?
Oh no, I think it's a Carlton S actually.
Carlton S. Okay. Do you remember the shuttles you used first?
Oh, we had plastics.
Yeah.
So we played with the plastic shuttles at school because we didn't play with feathers then. But in the league matches,
Yes.
no, we played with feathers because we paid quite a bit of money in that time to get a feather shuttle. And the shuttles were limited as well. You're only allowed one a match.
Wow.
So and then after that,
hold on a minute. No matter what.
Pardon?
No matter what.
No
No matter what, you're only allowed one shuttle in the match. No matter what. No matter what you do to it, no matter what happens to it, you only got one.
One shuttle a match. And then what we used to do, if it was really crushed, we used to go and look and find all the other old shuttles, maybe.
And find a better one.
Yeah, to find a
Wow.
better one. That's
Wow.
how at the time, because everything was based on finance and resources, cost of halls, facilities, shuttles. Sometimes people brought their own and they took it out their bag and said, "Do you mind? We'll play with this new shuttle," and everybody went, "That's fine." Just to get a better game, Martin.
Definitely. God, I mean, you look at it now. You're lucky for 3 points, maybe 3 points for a shuttle.
Totally.
I know people. 1 point is gone every time. John Young, you might know him, Dunfermline guy.
John the name rings the bell.
Yeah, he's a mad badminton player, but he busts a lot of shuttles. I'll leave it at that. So was Andy your first ever coach, or was it? No, it wasn't. It was Gordon Hamilton.
No, it was Gordon Hamilton at school, and then.
No, he has to take the credit, right? Surely.
Yeah.
For getting you into badminton.
And then I moved to Andy Cook as a coach, and he's really been my main coach. Don't get me wrong, when I was married to Russell, you live with somebody, you train with them, he taught me a lot, that was going to enhance everything that Andy was doing as well, because that's what you did. If I was either playing with Russell or I was feeding Russell, you would always talk tactically.
What, at dinner time? You're talking about dinner time?
Pardon?
You're talking about dinner time?
Maybe after work.
Oh, you fed him? You said you fed him. Oh, I see. I understand. I'm joking. So, did you? Sorry, let me go back to your sister. Did you play doubles with your sister?
Yeah.
For how long? Did you go in competitions and things as well?
Yeah. I played all competition with my sister. To be honest with you, she had a spell. She had 1 or 2 games with Imogen Banker in the Scottish Open, and I played with an Irish girl called Jane Plunkett. But majority of the time we played together in competition. But for county, for Midland, sometimes I played with Aileen Travers or Jill Holding, because the 4 of us were all the girls in the county team. And we used to swap the partners about just to mix it up about. Nice. And just to gain experience from different players, I would say, Martin.
And what do you think about, obviously Andy was quite strict as a coach, and now you're coaching as well, is that right?
Yeah, coaching.
And how much do you take from Andy?
A lot.
Yeah.
So, Andy, you sort of think to yourself, the way you want to coach is how you want to be coached yourself. Okay? So Andy always had a manner about him that even though you were exhausted or tired, he would always be able to bring the best out of you. You know, even though you didn't really know he was doing that, no session, even though it was really hard, no session was like, oh, an effort. I would never come out of any of Andy's sessions thinking, oh God, that was terrible today.
Really.
No, you know, he had that way with him. Like, and don't get me wrong, I would come in and say, Andy, I'm exhausted today. I've got this injury, I've got that injury. And he would say, that's fantastic, Julie. We're going to have a great session. So mentally, right from the word go, he was really in you.
Yeah.
And then, you know, sometimes when you broke down or you just stopped in a routine and you were ready just to explode, Andy would just pull it back in and say, okay, let's try again. And you started away. And that's how you take all of that and you bring it into your own coaching, Martin.
Yeah. And I was quite interested in the idea that I've been thinking about Martin Campbell's interview, and he was coached by Kenny Middlemas.
Yep.
And he always wanted to beat Kenny, and then he fought and fought and fought, and eventually he beat Kenny, right? So I think that's one kind of coaching where you're playing, you know, you're trying to beat your coach, and as good as he is how good you want to be. But I think when you have that mentality, I don't know what you think of this, but when you have that mentality, maybe when you beat him, that's you as hard as you can be pushed, as opposed to Andy's kind of system of no matter what you are, no matter who you are, I can make you better. And I think it's a different kind of mentality as a coach. I suppose I mean, I don't know what you think of that. You know, if somebody's is the best way just to push and push and push and push and push and make it very, very physical, or yeah, I guess I don't know what you think of that. I thought I'd just ask that question.
Sometimes I think you need the balance of both. So I was listening very much, and I know Martin because I was on the west side of the programme when Martin was in the east coaching.
Right.
And Martin and Kenny had a quite a unique relationship, I would say. And Martin really responded well to that.
Yes.
Whereas other coaches would have a different approach, as what you're talking about with Andy. So Andy he was very good at analysing you as an individual. Okay, so he already had what your strengths and weaknesses were, and then how he would try and get you to become better as an individual and as a person. Yeah. So I think it's both.
Like quite scientific, you mean, Julie? Almost scientific.
Yeah, I do. You know, like he was a really physical coach, but I would go in and say, right, okay, the backhand net area is not working for me. Okay, that session would then be tailored towards me. I would have an input within that. Whereas when I was listening to the interview with Martin, Kenny would just say, we're just running and that's it.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what he did.
That's right.
Andy would come in and he would have his agenda, he would have the session plan, and you knew what the session plan was always going to be. It's always running, sweating, singles. But I would come in and say, you know, I can't get to that forehand net area, or I can't lunge and I can't recover quick enough, and then I can't get into the deep corner. He would then tailor at least 20 minutes of that session to work on what you could do, because mentally it was never going to get out your head. You know what I mean? So you'd maybe lost a match by a certain area, you knew you had to work on it. So I always used to go back and say to Andy, I need to work on that, because they've identified I've got a weakness here and I have to sort it, and you need to help me to sort that. And that's the way we work. So I would say it's a bit of both, Martin.
So when do you think so if you were you ever playing against, how can I put this? Were you ever playing against, let's say, singles? Did you play singles? What were you, doubles or singles? What was
I played singles, and then when I had the situation with my back, I just moved to doubles and mixed. So,
sorry, going back to that, what was the question I was going to ask you was, would you ever be coaching two people that are playing against each other and telling the person that you're playing against what your weaknesses were and telling you what her weaknesses were?
No. No, you would never do that.
Just an idea.
No,
it could be quite interesting, right? What would he say about you? What would he say? So what would he say about you and your sister?
Oh,
What would he say about you, and what would he say about his sister? There you are. There's a question.
He would tell us just to go on and have a good game.
Oh, would he? Would he? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If I lost, I'd say, right, I'm never playing again.
Good. Okay, back to these questions. Do you remember your first tournament, Julie?
Yes, my first tournament was in Dunfermline, and it was the Lily Whites tournament.
The what?
And sponsored by Lily Whites, and players within the Dunfermline
Sorry, what's
area.
Lily Whites? What is Lily Whites? What are they?
To be honest with you, I can't actually remember, but I know I won one of these Prince rackets with a funny shaped.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, the
know,
diamond-shaped heads.
Yeah. Everybody that won the tournament got a diamond-shaped racket, and I was like, "Wow, it was amazing." Then I couldn't play with it, but
they were square, weren't they? Like diamond-shaped, right? I remember. Yeah, I do remember that.
That's right. So that was my first tournament, and then from there I went on. You played in the Fife, so every region had their own Fife. Well, I was in the Fife Championships, so I won the singles in the Fife Championships, and then from the school, and then if you were the champion within your area, you then went into the Scottish schools. So that still occurs to this day, actually, that system. And then that's how you then moved through. You represented your school, and then you went through to the next area.
So you played. How many clubs were there? How many teams would there be in Dunfermline, say? And then going on to like, did Burnt Island, for example, did they have a team?
Yeah, I think they did have a team.
Mm-hmm.
I also played in the Stirling League.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so I played in the Dunfermline League. The games were on a Sunday, and there were 6 teams, 6 divisions. Yeah. So there was about 30 teams. And then I went to the Stirling League because they played on a Friday.
Sorry. 30 teams in Dunfermline in the Dunfermline League. Oh my God.
30, and they're all. We went from Division 1 to Division 6. Okay, and you had to, just like football. If you won, you moved up a division. If you lost, you moved down. I played there.
What happened? Years. What on earth happened?
I think
what on earth happened?
Centre facilities came in. You didn't need to go to a club to play badminton. You can go and just book a court and play for an hour. And there was, even in those days, there was the junior set up. So we started in the junior club, and then when we got good enough, we were invited to this, because it's an invitation. It wasn't just come. You were then invited to the senior club, and then you played there, and it was a rack system with your rackets, and you're all selected, and you went on and played with different people, mostly doubles and mixed doubles. Yeah. And that 15 years. And then I went to Stirling League, and I played for, Karen went to Alloa, and I went to a different club. I went to the Infirmary with Jim Mailer. I played mixed with Jim in that league. And I think they had 6 leagues, and I think there was about 5 teams in the Stirling League as well. And they played on a Friday evening. So I would play Dunfermline League on the Saturday, Stirling League on the Friday, and then I had Churches League on a Sunday, and then I had Midland County Badminton, which was massive, like Martin was speaking about for Lothian. I was Midland, and you played matches home and away all the time. 15 years I did that, which is a far cry from where we are now.
When did it start? When did that? So 14, you went through school. You left school at what age, and what did you do after that?
Well, I left school after Hires, actually, and I had a condition to go to PE college, but my mother took ill, and I dropped out of that, and I just went into social work, and I got a job.
Did you? Wow.
Yeah, I went into social work, and
in Dunfermline.
Yep. In Dunfermline, they were looking for people, and I just went in. Great. And I got promoted very, very quickly, actually, through my career in social work. And it's the only job I've had about 9 jobs in social work, but it's been the only organisation to which I've worked in. And
council, then, I guess, is it? Council work, isn't it?
It's council work. Yeah. But then when I was in social work, I then studied to get a degree in management. So I got a degree in management on day release. Because you needed that, everything became much more serious about having to have qualifications.
Wisdom stuff. Wizard was
Yeah,
the certificate. Yeah.
yeah, everybody needed the certificate, you
Yeah.
know.
If you want to be in
So,
management, you need that certificate. Yeah, good.
you
So did he
know,
become a
so
manager now? When he got a certificate, did he become a manager?
no, I became a manager.
Well, well, that panned out well.
Very.
Yeah, carry on. Sorry, you're saying.
Yeah, so so at that point, I took a sabbatical out of social work for, I think it was 3 months, because Russell played for the Ministry of Defence. And I was asked by the Ministry of Defence to go and play in the Spanish Open, the Gibraltar Open, and the World Corporate Games.
Wow.
So I did. So I got permission. They knew I was a badminton player. So I took 3 months sabbatical from my work, which they were very kind to give me, but they knew I was sporty.
Yes.
And then I went to play in these
It's
competitions.
almost military, though, isn't it? It's almost military duties, almost, isn't it? Kind of.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
And then I took the opportunity to play in these competitions.
Mm.
So I partnered an English internationalist, Caroline Outerside from England, and we won the Gibraltar Open, and I won the World Corporate Games with Russell, but I didn't win the Spanish at the time. And then after that, you know, you did your publicity and that, and then I went back to work in social work.
For how long?
I've always been there in social work for a long time, but I retired. Yeah, I retired. They were looking for, after Russell's death, I decided that I needed to change a bit of life, and I had come back from, I was on the Achieve programme in Glasgow for aspiring coaches, and I came back and I thought, I needed to change life.
Yeah.
And I thought, who changes life for you but yourself? So I adopted a daughter, Talisa.
Wowza.
Yeah, so she came to live with me 18 months, and now
Wow.
she's just turned 7.
Good
She's
for you.
wild.
Good for you. Wowza.
So I thought, you know, I'll change life. So to do that job, I thought, you know, and I was on my own. My mother and my father had passed away.
Yeah.
I thought I couldn't do 2 jobs well. I couldn't work. I couldn't coach well, and you know, in the national setup and academies, and then bring up a daughter. It was impossible. So one had to get the chop. So I decided the chop was going to be work because I'd worked all my life and I was not going to be working anymore. And they were giving out redundancy money, and I just put my name in the ring, which surprised a lot of people. But I got what I wanted.
You seem quite impulsive. I can imagine you doing that. I can see that.
Did you see me?
You do that. I can see you quite impulsive. I think you could be. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I'm gonna finish. I think we're gonna finish up because we're 38 minutes in.
Oh wow!
I know. So that's incredible. So I haven't even got to the current yet. We're gonna have to come back to this next week if that's okay. What's your most successful event? Singles or doubles or mixed?
I would say mixed doubles.
And your best partner, who did you play with the most? Was it Russell?
Oh yeah, Russell.
Yeah, good. And you meant your doubles. Who was you when you played doubles? Who did you? Do you like playing with your sister?
Yeah, I played with Karen. Yeah.
Did you like it? Was she your favourite partner?
I wouldn't say favourite. We used to argue a lot.
Did you?
Yeah, and it's not.
I can't imagine playing a left-handed, being on the other side of a court from a left-handed and right-handed twin. I'm trying to picture it. I'm trying to think of, right, whatever you do, don't play to her forehand. Which one is she? Yeah. We
had to sort out who was going up the middle.
Yeah.
You know, so that was, you know, we always knew that because a lot of the shuttles were firing up the middle to the round ahead, you know.
Right, here's a question for you. Did you wear the same clothes on court? Please tell me you did. Brilliant.
We did.
Genius.
We did.
That's genius. I love that. So, and what about singles? Did you like singles?
I loved singles, and I still do play singles socially. Andy's always getting me to play singles at the right classes, and I still do that. But the reason I stopped it was my back used to just go into lock when I was coming forward, so it was too much extension.
Like jarred, you mean, kind of like?
Yeah, because I had that spina bifida on the spine,
Right.
It couldn't take the pressure.
Sorry, what is spina bifida, Julia?
So spina bifida is, when I was breech birth, what happens is in the lower part of the back, the tailbone is twisted in with a gap.
Right, right.
So normally your spine is like quite straight. Mine has a hole and a gap and it turns in. So, and when there's too much movement, it causes pain.
Yeah. Wow. Very last question for today then, because we're 40 minutes in. Who was your main competition, do you think, growing up? Who was it? Was there anybody that you tried that when you played against your sister, did you win or did she win?
Yeah, well, to begin with, I did. And then she just got better than me at singles. But I can remember, she'll hate me saying this on the video, but we played in a tournament and she was 10-1 up in me in both sets and I beat her. And she then didn't speak to me for about 6 months.
That's harsh.
And then from that point, I never won again.
Really? Really? What age was that? What age were you when that happened?
I would think it was about 14. I just had the attitude. I was just going for it. You know what I mean?
You've got nothing to lose. You've got nothing to lose at 10-1.
What have I got to lose? I was 10-1 down.
She thinks she's won it. She thinks she's won it. So there you are.
And I thought, I'm just going to hit you everything. I can remember it now, but that was probably about the only thing, you know, I ever won at singles against her. but I'll take it.
I love that. Julie, I think we'll call it a day for now. We'll come back next week if that's okay.
Martin.
Thank you. I really enjoyed that. All right.
Great.
Lovely.
Take care.
I'll be in touch and we'll see you next week. All right. Take care.